All right. Well, welcome. I think it's giving me a little spinny thing. Now we're live. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon for the very first edition of Speakprose Live. We're going to try to do this once a week. I assure you, it is in no way born out of isolation and boredom and a desire to interact with the community. That's not the motivation at all. No, in fact, we would like to show you some new stuff, ask you some questions, just take a couple minutes of your time. Please, I think I've never done this before, but I think I'm able to see comments and questions. So if anybody has any, throw them out there. I tried to do this through Zoom. In fact, I'm going to turn my camera around here so you can see my setup here. And Zoom is erroring out. Zoom is not liking Facebook Live very much. You can also get a sense of just how techy I am here. I've got 2 unfinished blog posts I'm working on. I've got a grant proposal that I'm working on. I've got a million planning projects for the next iteration of Speakprose going on. But for some reason, Zoom didn't want to go live, so we're trying the Facebook official version of this. So a couple things I wanted to show you guys. We just came out with Speakprose 2.2, which is a pretty significant update in a lot of ways. You know, as some of you know, I left a previous employer back in December to join Cognixion because I was so very impressed with their staff, their engineering ability, their mission. I mean, everything about it just kind of blew me away. And the immediate plan was that I would be moving either to Toronto or Santa Barbara. And as you can see, perhaps out the window here, if I can get the cable on this thing to cooperate, I am in fact in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania still, staring down at a largely abandoned street. I truly do hope that those folks are, I don't know, delivery drivers, something, and not, you know, going out for social events, because let me tell you, I've got my mask all set and ready. Still, my wife has her mask. When we go out, it's for emergencies only. I, in fact, wear a button down for all my meetings during the day, but am wearing Star Wars pajamas currently, which are my favorite pajamas. So the level of professionalism is really very high, to the point that we've actually even moved the television into the living room here. But enough about me. So I am surrounded by gadgets. I've got Kindle that's seen better days here. I've got an ARM-powered laptop, but most significantly, I have an iPod. This is the base version, so this is the $199 iPod, and it runs Speakprose like a dream. It's wild. So this would be sort of the least expensive entry point into Speakprose. The hardware itself is $199. The app is free. This is the free version of the app, which provides you, you know, with the classic gesture controls. Volume would have been helpful. That were famously used by Stephen Colbert on his show at one point. As well as, you know, a variety of other features that suit a lot of people's needs. This is a really good option as a transitional device, especially for somebody maybe with ALS that has a new diagnosis and doesn't need a speech generating device yet, but we don't want them to blow their funding cycle for 5 years on an eye gaze machine, right? You know, and then or excuse me, on a touch device, and then need eye gaze within that period of time and be out of luck. So once they were to set up a device like this, you could just buy over the counter. You then could log in and on whatever device you migrate to, and keep all of your settings, all of your language history, all of that different stuff. Um, when you look at Cognixion, the company, our motto is AI powered people. But I think we prefer to think of it as intelligent augmentation, right? So everything behind the scenes, from calibration of eye tracking to the way that the academy does training, is all a function of machine learning. And it's going to get really cool really soon. I'm not allowed to say anything, but I'm pretty excited. Um, Next step up. So I've got my iPhone 11 here, showing off the Academy feature. So this is a function that we're actually going to be expanding soon, but it's when when you don't have a communication partner, and you want to train for these different social scenarios. This is something that people can use to do that. It dramatically increases the quantity of input they get from a modeling perspective. Um, we also have what we call blurts, which are sort of quick phrases. We have a number of different types of keyboards. I have mine set to A, B, C, D, E, F, G right now. There's also linotype, which is a frequency-based keyboard, and the QWERTY keyboard, like you're all familiar with this kind of guy right here, available on iPad. And the crazy thing about that is that everything I just mentioned, the upgrade to the keyboard, the upgrade to editability of all kinds of custom phrases and things like that, is only $8 a month. So we're substantially below the price of the competition, and that would run just as well on that $200 iPad as it would on or on iPod, excuse me, as it would on my iPhone 11. However, there's one thing that the iPhone 11 can do that the iPod can't. So the iPhone X, the iPhone 11, and the last two generations of iPad Pros, we have managed to integrate eye tracking, and in a really interesting way. So I'm going to see if I can get a good view of this setup here. I have not calibrated this at all. This is a completely unfiltered view of a starting experience for a user. I'm sorry, I should have planned this a little bit ahead. The googly eye function here, that you see as my eyes move around, like right now I just went to I feel or look up question. Those can be disabled. You can change the type of cursor. This can be as sort of kid friendly or adult friendly as you want it to be. Of course, then we also have the keyboard. We have custom phrases. I have this set right now to blink to select, but we also can do smile to select or dwell to select, which is the classic. But here's my QWERTY. And as a final thought there, I just wanted to say, I'm trying to hold this camera and do the eye gaze at the same time, and it's a little bit of a balancing act. All right, let's go with question. I promise you this is a result of me trying to hold this camera up. This is typically much more accurate. Okay, question. So when can we go back to work?
When can we go back to work?
What a great question, Speakprose. I sure wish I knew the answer to that question. For my part, certainly I am working. Like I said, I'm working on grants. I'm working on development of the next generations of this. We have our engineering team in Toronto who's doing the same thing, and our leadership team in Santa Barbara is doing the same thing as well. So one final thing I guess I wanted to share with you guys. is what we built for COVID. So, and just quick shout out to Modular Hose for the keychain. This is not how you should build this book. So if you go to our page, Speakprose or Cognixion, or to the Speakprose users group, or even a lot of the AAC groups, this has been going kind of viral recently. This is a communication sort of flip book that was created by myself along with our founder, Andreas Forslund, Sarah Pierce, one of our engineers, Leonard Zerman, our CTO, Mylene Chin, who a lot of you know, and Megan Esseline, who's a master's in special education, as well as Cameron Svensson, who runs a hospice. And we've run it by all kinds of different folks, just in terms of what kind of content this should have. So the first thing that you sort of get here when you open this is a pain scale. And again, this is not how you should do this. The reason why I did it this way is because I have a printer, but I don't own a laminator, right? This should be laminated. This should be cut and laminated and sanitized between each use. But I wanted to show off what we have because it's freely available. I invite anybody who's interested in localization or has opinions or modification, please use this to your heart's content. We have pages like I Need You to Help Me that have to do with respiratory care all the way to needing a drink. We have one that's how much is this going to cost, which is an unfortunate reality. But we also have pages dedicated to requests around feminine hygiene. We have pages about end of life decision making and power of attorney. We have communication pages about conveying messages to loved ones and that sort of thing. So it's obviously a heartbreaking situation that we're going through right now. But I've seen a lot of icon-based versions of stuff like this going around, but we wanted to build something that really was for a literate adult that was maybe intubated or trached and hopefully will recover, but in that period of time needs access to communication. And we will be building this this language or a variant of it into future versions of Speakprose. We just couldn't do it in time, basically. We're talking about 6 weeks to get that done and released, and fingers crossed we might be through this by then. So we've delivered what we can. But in any event, again, no way predicated by boredom or anything else. In fact, I have plenty of work to do, but stay safe, stay healthy, and allow yourself to feel the way that you feel right now, because it's totally valid and totally normal to be scared. And I think that before we can even think about helping others, we need to, address our own foundations and, rebuild that strength. So Lucas Steuber, MSSLPCC TESOL. I'm trying to get enough letters so I can spell Scrabble words after my name. Out. Have a good Monday.